Good day and welcome. I'm Mary Lou Bates, Vice President and Dean of Admissions and Financial Aid. And on behalf of the Skidmore community, I'd like to say how pleased we are to have you here today. We intend today to be a brief introduction for you to Skidmore. We've put together a program that we hope will give you enough information to determine if Skidmore might be a good match for you. You can look forward to a panel of current students who are eager to share their Skidmore experiences and answer your questions, followed by overviews about applying for admissions and financial aid, and concluding with a short virtual campus tour. Before we introduce you to the students, I'd like to reinforce some things that we know to be true about Skidmore. In the universe of highly selective liberal arts colleges, we believe Skidmore stands out. To be sure, we offer an outstanding academic experience, a rich co-curricular life, competitive athletics, challenging and caring faculty mentors, abounding opportunities for engagement, international study, research, and internships. And we do all of this within the context of creative thought matters. First off, our curriculum is broader, more creative than most liberal arts colleges. We offer the Bachelor of Arts degree in the Sciences, Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences, as well as the Bachelor of Science degree in several pre-professional disciplines, including business, education studies, health and human physiological sciences, theater, art, and dance. Our most popular majors are business, psychology, English, environmental studies and sciences, political sciences, and studio art. I challenge you to name another liberal arts college where business and studio art are among the largest majors. A second distinctive feature of Skidmore is the strength and opportunities in the visual, fine, and performing arts. And while the arts don't dominate at Skidmore, they certainly permeate our culture. Our strength in the arts is a primary reason why some students choose Skidmore. For others, an enhanced appreciation and understanding of the arts is something they develop while they are here. The opportunity for close personal interactions with faculty mentors who are challenging and committed to their students is truly at the heart of the Skidmore experience. Our student-faculty ratio is 8-to-1, and the average class size is 16. The Scribner seminar you choose, with 16 students or less, in your first semester will be taught by a senior faculty member who will also be your first advisor and mentor at the college, a person who will truly get to know you well. The faculty who choose to teach at Skidmore are here because they want to work with talented and eager young adults who are just discovering their passions and interests intellectually. As one faculty member expressed it, he wanted to be part of that journey of discovery that undergraduates go through while they're figuring out their academic passions. And while our faculty are actively engaged in scholarly research, they've been able to find and maintain that critical balance between teaching and scholarship. One of the great benefits of coming to Skidmore is spending 4 years in Saratoga Springs, New York, a small city that bustles with galleries, shops, nightlife, coffee houses, restaurants. The nearby Adirondack Mountains, the Berkshires, and Green Mountains provide lots of recreational opportunities, including some of the best skiing and hiking in the Northeast. And we're only 3 hours from New York City, Boston, and Montreal. We hope as you continue to learn about Skidmore, you will get a sense of the distinct personality of the Skidmore experience and how creative thought matters plays out here. That business should be one of the largest majors in a liberal arts college with extraordinary strength in the arts and sciences. That we don't just tolerate, but encourage double and interdisciplinary majors. That your first-year advisor will engage you intellectually in your first semester at Skidmore. That our pre-med students are found in ceramic studios and on athletics fields as well as in the science labs. That the richness and wonder and interconnectedness of the world is something that transforms you from your very first day on campus, not something you need to put on hold. If you believe that creative thought matters, we hope that you will seriously consider Skidmore.
Hello, everybody, and greetings from Saratoga Springs, New York, and Skidmore College. It is a chilly but bright and beautiful day here today. My name is Adrian Bautista. He, him are my pronouns. I'm the Dean of Students and Vice President for Student Affairs. I'm always excited to host this panel of amazing students so that our prospective students and families can learn more about Skidmore College. So hopefully this will be the most that you hear me speak at once, other than sharing questions. This is really time for you to hear from our students. And I think it's important to note, while these students are amazing and fabulous, they really are a snapshot of our overall student population. So I get to work with an amazing group of students here at Skidmore College. So that all being said, we are going to go right to introductions. And I will start with Braden to kick it off.
Hello, everyone. My name is Braden Quinlan. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a junior at Skidmore. I'm a biology and statistics minor and chemistry minor, biology major, chem and stats minor at Skidmore College. And I'm actually currently studying abroad in Denmark, Copenhagen, Denmark. So really excited to join you guys today. Outside of the classroom at Skidmore in a typical semester, I am part of SCEMS, which stands for Skidmore College Emergency Medical Services. I love playing racquetball in the sports center. I do research within the biology department, and I'm a peer health educator.
All right, thanks, Braden. Let's go to Kelby.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kelby. I am a senior here at Skidmore, so I'm in my senior spring. I use he, him pronouns, and I am from St. Paul, Minnesota. Here at Skidmore, I am a psychology and anthropology double major. A few of the things I do outside the classroom, probably my most time-consuming involvement is on the men's crew team, so I'm happy to answer questions about varsity athletics. I also do research in the psychology department. I'm currently an intern at the Saratoga Automobile Museum, so I like talking about that experience as well. And yeah, I'm also an ambassador at Skidmore, so you'll probably see my face later today as well.
All right, thank you, Kelby. And folks, you are probably already gathering that our students do everything, and that is the case. Let's continue with Anna.
Hi, I'm Anna. I use she, her pronouns. I'm from McLean, Virginia, and I'm a sophomore here at Skidmore. I'm an education and religious studies double major with a studio art minor. Outside of admissions, I'm also a residential assistant, and I'm doing an internship for the education department that's taking my love of studio art as well, involving that. And I'm also involved in the dance program here.
Great, thank you, Anna. Let's go to Serena.
Hi, everyone. My name is Serena Bradley. I'm currently a senior biology major here at Skidmore. I'm from DC as well, which is super fun. In terms of things I do outside of the classroom, I am the chief of our on-campus emergency medical service, as Braden mentioned, SCEMS. Additionally, I'm also a community assistant with the Office of Residential Life and a lab assistant in the biology department.
Awesome, thank you, Serena. Let's go to Anjali.
Hi, I'm Anjali. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a sophomore from India. I'm a potential psychology major with a dance minor on campus. I'm also a resident assistant as well as a PHE, which is the peer health educator. I'm also part of Hayat, which is our South Asian club on campus. And I also dance in 213, which is our hip hop crew that we have on campus.
All right, thank you. And let's go to Darren.
Hi, my name is Darren. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a sophomore here at Skidmore. I'm originally from Hackensack, New Jersey. I'm majoring in theater and double minoring in music and arts administration. Outside of all of that, I'm the arts head guide for admissions, and then I'm also a residential assistant on campus.
All right, thank you all so much. So we will kick it off with the first question for everybody. And the first question is, why did you choose Skidmore? And actually, we'll just go in reverse order of introduction. So we'll start with you, Darren.
Okay, so I chose Skidmore because I had always known that theater and music were my largest passions, but I started to find interest in other parts of my life, specifically in business, arts business. And so I wanted to go somewhere where I could really foster a lot of different educational interests. And still balance everything and not be tied down to one thing. So at Skidmore, you don't have to declare a major until the second semester of your sophomore year. So I was still having that freedom to move around the campus and kind of build that interdisciplinary education I was looking for, and Skidmore was perfect.
All right, thank you. Anjali.
For me personally, I wanted a smaller college. So while I was narrowing down my list, I went for a liberal arts college, which is like considerably smaller than other ones that I'm applying to. If you guys probably would know that Skidmore's average class size is about 16. So that basically attracted me to the classroom sizes and the fact that the classrooms were discussion based instead of just like lectures. I knew that I wanted to major in psychology, but I also wanted to explore dance as well as basketball. So over here at Skidmore, I basically play in the intramural level at for basketball, and in dance, I basically have dabbled around in hip hop as well as modern here and there. So it's been nice.
All right, thank you. Let's go to Serena.
Yeah, I came to Skidmore because personally I'm interested in both the sciences and the arts, and I wanted to go to a place that really supported my interest in both. Personally, I really resonated with the our motto of creative thought matters, and I love how that is integrated both in the classroom and outside, and I really appreciate how supportive that part of the Skidmore academic community is.
Thank you. Anna.
So when I started my college search, I was actually thinking about going to art school, but I realized I had way too many interests that were outside of just the artistic arts that I wanted to go to a liberal arts college. And then I picked Skidmore specifically because we have such a high level arts program that I could still get that art school level of art learning and also get my other interests.
All right, thank you. Kelby.
Yeah, like everybody said, definitely a few reasons I chose Skidmore, but I think the top two for me, number one is athletics. So if I wanted to be at a Division III school and be a member of a rowing team, I kind of had to leave the Midwest. So that kind of drew me out to an East Coast college, and Skidmore, of course, was one of my top choices. And probably number two was the fact that coming out of high school, I knew I wanted to do science of some type. I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do. So here at Skidmore, I was able to take classes in biology and in chemistry, in physics, and then of course, psychology where I am now. And like it was said earlier, you don't have to declare your major to the end of your sophomore spring. So having that flexibility for me was really attractive.
Thank you. And Braden.
Yeah, so when I was looking at schools, I was looking at a lot of small liberal arts schools, which are all great for educational purposes. But what it came down to Skidmore for me was the community. Skidmore is a great place where you will have great relationships with friends, faculty, your professors, even VPs like Dean Batista here. Everyone in the community really cares. What I saw at Skidmore, than more than other schools, what really led me to Skidmore.
All right, thank you, everybody. And so our format moving forward will be, I will pose a question, and then any of our students that would like to answer, just raise your hand. And our goal is to cover 2, maybe 3, depending on the length of answers. So our first question, we will delve into the academic. What is your favorite class that you've taken and why? I know it's probably hard to whittle that down. Favorite class? Let's start with Braden.
I would say my favorite class was Bio 108. It's our organismal biology class. Mainly because I had Professor Corey Freeman Gallant. He's really great. He's been at Skidmore for, I believe, almost 2 decades now. And he's clearly very passionate about what he does, but majority of Skidmore professors are, if not all. But the passion he brought into the class, the curiosity he drove in students, thought what is typically a boring subject, evolution and ecology, I got really interested in. I really want to take more classes with him.
All right, thanks, Braden. Anyone else care to comment on a favorite class you've taken? Yes, Angeli.
I have to say hip hop 1 was a really fun class for me. I took it in my freshman spring semester. The professor that I had was Professor Hetty Barnhill, and they're amazing. It was a good mix of dancers and non-dancers, and it was like an introductory class, which was really nice. It was my first official dance class that I've ever taken in my life, so that was nice. And basically, the professor made us go to different parts of campus, like for example, the Tang Museum, and we had to choreograph a piece based on one art piece. So that was something I found really interesting, and I never thought I'd actually do in my life. So I really enjoyed that class.
All right, and Serena, I saw your hand go.
Yeah, I wanted to shed some light on the art history department. They had a really amazing course on American folk and self-taught art, which is a huge new burgeoning field in art history itself. And so it was really wonderful to be on the forefront and really see that progression and actually have conversations that frankly had not been had yet in that historical artistic canon. We, again, went to the Tang a lot and had a lot of opportunities to go outside the classroom and visit communities around Skidmore. And it wasn't necessarily just something that was solely in the classroom. It really expanded past just typical what you would expect from like a art history class, which is really neat.
All right, great. And I think it's worth just saying for the faculty that were specifically mentioned, I've actually heard their names even just in the last 2 to 3 days in different ways. So truly the classes reflect an incredible faculty that we are hearing about, and they're doing amazing things in and out of the classroom. So thank you all. All right, our next question. Could you talk a little bit about research and internship opportunities at Skidmore? Important to get that experience. Yes, Kelby.
Yeah, so I'll probably just talk about internship experiences, and I can let somebody else take research. But for me, internships have been a really important part of my time at Skidmore. Like I said, I'm currently a marketing intern at the Saratoga Automobile Museum, but actually I had an internship last summer too. So I've actually stayed on campus 2 summers, and one of those was doing an internship. And so there's kind of, a lot of flexibility in what you can do. So say, for example, right now I'm taking this internship for credit. So it actually counts for academic credit here at Skidmore, but I could be doing it to be paid. Or for example, this past summer when I did another internship here in Saratoga, I was able to get some funding for that internship because we have the wonderful Career Development Center here on campus, and they have what are called Summer Experience Fund Awards. And so you can actually get paid kind of by Skidmore if the internship you're doing isn't able to pay you. So a lot of flexibility in how you can go about doing internships here at Skidmore. One of the other things is that Saratoga Springs is an amazing college town. There's a lot of businesses to work with. You could work with nonprofits. You could work with museums like I do, really anything from A to Z. So I know a lot of folks are able to kind of get internships here in Saratoga that really kind of lead them in the right direction for after graduation, which I think is really nice too. But yeah, internship opportunities are abundant. And like I said, the Career Development Center here on campus, that's kind of our office here that connects us with Skidmore and kind of the greater world, or Saratoga and the greater world as well, is a really, really helpful resource to find internship experiences if you're looking for them.
Great, thank you, Kelby. And I have to give a shout out to the Auto Museum. I actually went a couple of weeks ago with my kids to see the James Bond exhibit of cars and other things. It was amazing. All right, Anna, I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to Kelby. I've been really looking forward to this semester because I'm starting an internship project with my advisor. I feel like professors, if they know your interests, they really come to you and will bring projects to you. So my advisor for my education major knew that I was interested in studio art, and she brought this project where a student at Bank Street College is writing a book about her little brother and teaching children about disability. And she actually asked me to illustrate it. So I'm really excited that I'm going to get to do that project that takes my interest of education and art. And I think it's really wonderful that my professor brought that to me.
That's amazing. All right, thank you both. And speaking of professors and advisors, we'll go back into a question about professors, and just would ask you to choose one word or a few words that you would use to describe your professors and why you would use that word or words. So let's start with Darren.
When I heard that question, the first word that popped into my head was invested. I think every professor I've had so far here at Skidmore has been truly and fully invested in like my success. Like they want you to do well, not only in that class, but also in whatever you're interested in outside of that class. Someone who works in the arts, all of our professors are actively working in their fields or are coming out of directly working in their fields. So they still have a lot of connections. They know how the business works, and they're invested in helping you understand that business to help you later in life. And they're also really great at connecting you with internships and other opportunities off campus. I found out about a lot of opportunities just from professors who I had for only a semester. So definitely invested in your success.
Awesome. Thank you, Darren. Anyone else care to describe a professor in a word or a couple of words? We have invested. Let's go Braden and then Kelby.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing, I thought it was fun. Most classes I take at Skidmore, the professor wants you to be engaged. I mean, I think it's a whole part of our small class size where I'm being entertained by the professor. I think the professors being entertained by us and our participation as well. And the class is really steered towards what we want to get out of it, not just maybe the overall course headlines on the syllabus. It's really how the students drive the class and how the professor modifies the course to fit that.
Right. Kelby.
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's hard to articulate just how much I've appreciated the professors here at Skidmore and just how awesome they are, because the words I think of are like kind and caring and compassionate. And especially, the COVID was a part of my college experience, and the incredible kindness and resilience and flexibility that the professors here at Skidmore kind of showed was amazing. And I come in on a class and I'll come in for a class. Hey, professor, how was your weekend? Do you do anything fun this weekend? They'll ask me about a regatta I had last weekend, or how was the homework? What was your favorite part of the reading? I mean, it's really nice to have these conversations just kind of casually as a friend with a professor, and it really makes your kind of appreciation and your engagement with the material that much deeper. And so, yeah, professors here at Skidmore are here because they wanted to come to a liberal arts college and experience this really intense and deep connection with their students. And that's definitely something that you get here at Skidmore. So yeah, the professors are awesome.
All right. Thank you, folks. And we'll stay on the academic tip here and ask if there's anyone that can speak to or about academic support Where do you go if you are struggling with a class? Who'd like to start us off? All right, Darren.
I'll pop in. So one really great resource on campus that I've utilized when I was struggling with a class was Student Academic Services. They're really great with either getting a study group going or specific tutors. I was taking a music theory class that was moving a little fast. And I started to feel a little overwhelmed. And so I reached out to the professor who told me to reach out to Student Academic Services. And they were able to actually get 2 tutors approved for the class. So we had a direct path of tutors to find if we ever needed help to do like one-on sessions, or if we wanted to come as a group, like with a couple friends from the class and all do like a study session to get ready for an exam or work on a homework assignment. So Student Academic Services is definitely a great opportunity to have.
Thanks, Darren. All right, Angeli.
Another resource on campus that we have is PAC, which is a peer academic coaching. And I've used that resource several times because, especially for psychology, sometimes writing research papers, I struggle with that. So they've been really helpful. We have academic coaches for all subjects. So I think they sit for 2 hours on every weekday. And students can basically go and visit them within those 2 hours and ask them any questions, which I think is a really good resource for all students on campus, especially if they're not comfortable going with tutors or if they want, a more casual conversation with someone, or they're struggling with something that they're too ashamed to talk about in a professional setting.
Yes, Kelby.
Yeah, also shout out to our writing center. So spoiler alert, you do a lot of writing in college, and sometimes, you need a helping hand. And so on the 4th floor of our library, kind of in the middle of campus, that's where our writing center is. And actually all the writing center tutors are students. And so to be a tutor, you have to take like a prerequisite semester long kind of writing tutor preparation course. And then you become a paid tutor in the office. And so when you sign up for like tutor appointments online, you can see everybody's majors and minors. So perhaps if you're writing a psychology paper, you go and find a psychology tutor. Super convenient. I've used them a bunch of times. I've brought in like outlines. I've brought in full like rough drafts. I mean, anything that you have, it's just really helpful to go through and just like work through your paper with somebody. So shout out to the Writing Center.
All right, thank you, folks. And what I love is a couple of offices that have been mentioned are actually in student affairs. So it shows that link between the in-class support and out-of-class support. So Student Academic Services and the Career Development Center are in my domain in student affairs. So glad that those are resources for all. All right, let's move on to our next question. And what's a Skidmore secret? Ooh, trying to get the real scoop here. Perhaps something that surprised you is a little quirky or something distinct to your school, a secret. As a newer dean, I won't chime in on this, so I'll let the students share the secrets. Or are we so transparent there are no secrets? Let's start with Darren.
This isn't really a secret, but something I guess is distinct that I didn't see at any other schools I visited, that I really, really do appreciate is that all of our residential halls have a window seat. It's my favorite place to sit in my room. I have a room that kind of looks out over the Adirondack Mountains, so I get really nice sunsets. My mom is always really jealous to see the pictures. So I think that's something that's kind of cute and quirky that Skidmore has that maybe you might not find somewhere else.
Others? Yes, Braden.
Yeah, I would say the amount of resources the Creative Development Center has is actually rather surprising. And sometimes they are kind of even hidden and secretive to students. Kelby mentioned the Summer Experience Fund, which is up to $4,000 you can get for something unpaid over the summer. I'm doing mentoring with an alumni. He was class of 14 or 15, I believe. And we meet once a month and he is helping me towards future career goals, and I get money for doing that, for helping with that. They have a miscellaneous fund where you can apply for, say you need to travel to an interview or get a sports coat for an interview, whatever, on top of so much more. So the Creative Development Fund is Skidmore. Oh, and also they're lifelong. So if you're 50 and having a midlife crisis, you can go back to them. What I think is actually rather unique that I didn't hear at other schools. So our Career Development Center should be utilized a lot more, I think.
All right, anyone else on something distinct, quirky? Yes, Kelby.
So because I'm, in my senior spring and thinking about time after Skidmore, I've had a lot of conversation with like alum and friends of the college, and I continue to be surprised at how much people, care for their alma mater and want to give back in meaningful ways. And I've had so many awesome conversations with alum, and they've said, hey, I have this friend and that works at this company. If you want to do like a practice interview with me, email me back. Like, the alum I've talked to have been so generous with their time and their resources, and Skidmore alum really, really care about giving back to the students who are at the college. And so I think that's something that I've been really pleasantly surprised to find, especially over the last few months.
All right, thank you, folks. This certainly isn't a secret, but I just want to emphasize, I think, the distinctive nature of our location, right? So many small private liberal arts schools are fairly isolated. And for us to be in this incredible, I think, hub of Saratoga Springs, and I can hop on a train and be in New York City in a couple of hours, and in 10 minutes be in the Adirondack Mountains as well. So it's pretty distinct, I think, for the type of school that we are. All right, let's venture into social life a bit. So what is Skidmore social life like, including the weekends? Even cold ones like this one. Who'd like to kick off social life? All right, Kelby.
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's kind of hard to describe a typical Skidmore weekend because there's just so much that is always going on. Like, for example, right now I have a couple of my housemates are at the farmers market, which is inside at Wilton Mall, the local mall near us. Or, for example, I saw the hockey game last night. That was Friday night activity. You could be going to a club event. You could be seeing like a movie screening or going out to a dinner downtown. It's really varied. It just depends on how social do you want to be. Do you want to go out and interact with a bunch of people? Do you want to stay inside and watch a movie? That's really kind of up to you. And the nice thing is that there's no pressure, so you can do kind of whatever you want. You can, like I said, you can go out and have fun, or you can stay inside. Just kind of whatever you need to do. It's totally up to you. There's kind of no precedent for how social you need to be. So it's really varied, and definitely up to, however adventurous you're feeling that weekend, which is really nice. And like Dean Batista said, Saratoga Springs has so much to do that it would take me like an hour to talk through how much there is to do in Saratoga on a typical weekend. So definitely a lot of stuff to do.
Anyone else? Let's go Serena and Braden.
Yeah, I would completely agree with Kelby. It's a very opt-in culture. If you want to do something, we're in the perfect location to do anything you want. Like Dean Batista was talking about, we're 3 hours away from New York, 3 hours away from Boston. I can speak from personal experience. Right now, I'm actually in the Adirondack Mountains on a ski trip with some friends from Skidmore. And I can tell you that it's, again, super accessible just being able to be in the area. You can obviously do a ton of things off campus, but on campus, there's also just so much going on. I think we host like nearly like 3,000 events every year. And there's like 2,700 students on campus. That's more events than there are students. And so there's plenty of things to do and a lot of really exciting things to do. And a lot of them are also just student led. It's really, again, students want to create the culture that's on campus and they really invest in that. So yeah.
Thank you, Serena. Braden.
Yeah, I mean, really echoing what Serena and Kelby said. I do want to mention, as you're looking at Skidmore, maybe deciding between schools, we don't have any fraternities or sororities. So if that's what you want your social life to kind of revolve around, unfortunately, Skidmore doesn't, well, not unfortunately, I don't regret it at all, but Skidmore doesn't have it. I really like the club atmosphere. I really like the community Skidmore has, but I think that's really important to note when making your college decision.
All right, I think it's a good moment. I want to give a shout out to the SCEMs in the house and also our peer health educator, because those folks play significant roles at many of our social activities, whether that's just helping students plan how to engage safely in some of our large events like Earth Day, Junior Ring, and other activities. But our peers are really invested in the social life, not only engaging in it, but I think helping others do so responsibly. So thank you, folks. All right, our next question is around food. So what is your go-to meal on campus or in Saratoga? And tell me what I need to eat or try. All right, good question. Anna.
So I really love mac and cheese. And last year, me and my best friend tried to get mac and cheese at as many different places as we could. I would say that the Skidmore mac and cheese is fantastic, but in town in Saratoga Springs, it goes above and beyond. If you're looking for variety, Druthers, the restaurant, has 7 different kinds of mac and cheese. And my personal favorite bowl of mac and cheese, because it's just so large, is Hattie's Chicken Shack.
Nice, with 2 locations. All right. Anyone else on your go-to food? Kelby.
That was a really fantastic answer, Anna. Thank you. Shout out to dessert. I'm a big ice cream guy, especially in the summer months when I've been here. So there's a fantastic dairy farm called King Brothers Dairy. It's about 15 minutes away from campus. And they have the cows on the farm, and they use, of course, the milk from those cows to make the ice cream. So it's about as close to farm to table as you can get. And that's probably like the best ice cream I've ever had. So shout out to King Brothers.
All right. Anyone else? The food is so good. So I know someone else might have something to offer. Yes, Serena and Darren.
Yeah, I'm gonna offer an on-campus option. I would say like we have something called Spa here at Skidmore, and it's actually really, really good. They make great sandwiches. I think I go every Tuesday. I have my caprese sandwich on ciabatta, and it's absolutely delicious. They have a ton of different options there, ranging from salads to like almost like kind of like, you know, burgers and things like that. And so I highly recommend checking that out if you ever get the chance to get on campus.
Awesome. And I will confess, there's a student that I will text with when the spa has sweet potato fries, because we just have to get there that day. Darren.
Yeah, I love Wasabi, which is in downtown Saratoga Springs. Wasabi has all you can eat sushi. You pay like one price, and it's not very expensive at all. And then you can order as much as you want. And then a really other great thing about Wasabi is on your birthday, you actually have all you can eat sushi for free. So I find myself there for like everyone's birthday, and my friend group. We're like, okay, what day are we going to Wasabi? So that's a really great place to go as well.
Awesome. Anyone else? I will just add that I literally at Saratoga Apple did watch my cider donut, the batter go into the fryer, go on the conveyor, fall off. I grabbed it and ate it, and it was spiritual. So, all right. I better get off the food topic now. Let's go into the housing area. So we, of course, are a residential college. So just wondering if folks can elaborate a bit on residential life. Where do first-year students live? How are roommates selected, and what support is there? Anyone care to comment on the housing and your residential experience? I know we have RAs, CAs, and a former RA in Braden.
Yeah, so I was an RA last year in Kimball Hall, which is actually where I lived first year. So it was kind of a nice little reunion. Basically, going into your first year, this year, typically it's random assignment. This year we had the opportunity to kind of pick a roommate. I'm not sure if that's going to continue going forward. Serena may have more information on that. But that's how it's typically done. What support is there? So as an RA, my main, at least how I saw my main role to be, was basically to help create a community on the floor and get students well acclimated and just be there as a resource, right? It wasn't to be like a parental figure or anything like that, right? But if a student needs something, I'm there. I was there to facilitate game night was something big on my floor that people really gathered around. It was really, really fun as well. So that's a little bit about kind of housing and picking, and you kind of get assigned first year. It's not really you get to pick where to live. Res life just kind of assigns you.
Take myself off mute. Serena.
Yeah, I can speak more about residential life as a community assistant, which is a little bit different than being an RA. I've been an RA or part of residential life for now 3 years. So essentially it's a great experience personally so far that I've had. I remember though, when I was coming in my first semester, we actually had this little quiz that we would fill out with things like music taste, when you went to bed, when you got up in the morning, figuring out scheduling, that kind of sort of thing. And obviously then we were placed into our assignments based on those quizzes. I wouldn't necessarily say that they're always the best. That being said, I will personally say that I actually worked out pretty well with my roommates. I actually had a triple my first semester here, and I'm still friends with all the girls that I was living with. again, we try our best to make sure that we mitigate roommate conflicts and really support people where we can. But there's a ton of resources in residential life. We have our RAs who are just a library of support resources. They can refer out basically anyone to anything. And it's a huge part of their training to learn about those resources. You have the entire residential life office with our area coordinators and the CAs and also our administrative staff who are all looking to help the students better their experience. And that is again, we have full-time staff members there who are just dedicated to making sure students are doing well in their residential education. And so with that, I would say yes, it can be really difficult moving on to your first time, moving and living with someone else in the same room or having roommates. I know that that's, it's a tumultuous time for everyone. That being said, there's a ton of support out there and a huge dedicated and involved staff who wants to be part of that experience.
All right, Kelby.
Yeah, and there's already been some great stuff said, and I just want to make a kind of abundantly clear the housing options here at Skidmore. So that typically the first kind of 2 years here at Skidmore are spent in the residence halls, kind of closer to the main area of campus. And then typically the junior and senior year are spent in the apartments here at Skidmore. So we have guaranteed housing for all 4 of our years here at Skidmore, which is definitely a luxury, very, very nice. And the apartments are kind of like a chance to get a taste of how you will probably be living after college. And some of us joke that it might be the nicest apartment you live in within 10 years after graduating, because I can see right over here we have our fridge and our stove and our oven. We have a dishwasher, which is really nice. And then so me and my housemates all live in separate rooms. We all got full-size beds, separate locking bedrooms. There's 2 bathrooms, so 2 of us to a bathroom. So yeah, the apartments are great. It's a really fun space to maybe have some guys on the team over or have some of my friends over. We have a TV, game console. So it's just nice to have a little space to socialize. It's just ours. So the apartments are definitely a big plus as you kind of mature through your years here at Skidmore.
All right. Thank you, folks. We are going to go a bit more into diversity and inclusion as a topic here. And the question is, how does Skidmore create an inclusive community? I'm interested generally about inclusion, but also as a queer person. So who'd like to talk a little bit about Skidmore as an inclusive community? Yes, Braden.
Yeah, so I would say overall, Skidmore is a very inclusive campus. There are many things Skidmore does, and I'm going to miss some. So my fellow students, please pick up where I'm missing off. I would say first off, if you're looking for a queer-only housing, that is 100% available. We have Prism, what is an LGBTQIA+ floor. Every single year we've had that. So that's definitely something you can do if you just want to live near similar individuals. You don't have to live there, but it is an opportunity for you. And there are similar special interest housing. So Prism is one of them. There's a 24-hour quiet floor. There's a women's floor, a multicultural floor, international floor. So those are just some of the special interest housings available. We also have a relatively new space on campus. It's called the Wyckoff Center. What was a space built for Skidmore students to discuss issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion and hold events on campus related to those areas. I'm not going to lie, Skidmore is a very vocal campus, and we really hold those 3 values, being diversity, equity, and inclusion, really close to our hearts. There's lots of events going on in there. I personally didn't go since I'm abroad, but I saw an email that came up from the college in response to the recent shootings. There was a vigil in there, I believe this entire past week, as similar thing to the Ukraine war, Black Trans Lives Matters vigils last spring, about a year ago now. There's always events going on in there. And it's also just a safe space where, hey, if you need to take 5, 10, 20, 30, even an hour out of your day, you can go in there, rest, relax at the fireplace, lots of comfy furniture. So you can always do that. Those are just 2 options, but there's a lot more as well.
Yes, Anjali.
Other than the housing options, we also have clubs on campus. So if you need a safe space to basically meet people with who share like-minded identities. You have different culture clubs as well as other clubs which share the same identities. Like we have Pride Alliance, but we also have like different ethnicities. Like I know the South Asian Club for me has always been a good support system, and that's where I get to celebrate my culture. It's really fun. But I've also learned about different cultures through other clubs, for example, Rices, which is our Hispanic club that we have on campus. So we get to learn about other people's cultures, and it's a nice celebration that we have. So I think that way Skidmore's done a good job in basically having a diverse options of what to do on campus and meeting like-minded people.
All right, Darren.
Yeah, one other thing I'd like to add is just that I feel like a lot of Skidmore's faculty and administrators are all very understanding and supportive, especially when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Most professors talk about diversity in their classrooms. And then if there's ever something that's bothering you, if you feel like you're unsafe on campus or anything like that, there's so many people that you can reach out to who will be there to support you. I know we get a lot of presentations as RAs from like Adrian Bautista and like other faculty members just about having those open doors of communication for that. So I think that's another great thing to think about also.
All right, thank you, folks. The only other office I will mention is the Office of Religious and Spiritual Life. I think they do an incredible job also of working with our student diversity programs, really thinking about the diversity of religious and spiritual life across those various student organizations, even combining with our Latinx Heritage Month, where we brought a speaker to talk about intersections of Jewish and Latinx cultures and faiths. So again, a very vibrant community, largely led by our students, but again, with much faculty and staff input as well. All right, let's see, next we're going to, Braden is abroad currently, so we're going into that territory. Has anyone studied abroad? What is that experience like?
Yeah, so kind of gets a brief overview of what it's like to go abroad. Before you even leave, you're going to work with our off-campus study of exchange, OCSE, to make sure that you're choosing a program that works for your major, one that works for your own beliefs and what you want to do there, and just really make the experience you want it to be, along with your advisors and whatnot. So that probably can happen really whenever. I started mine a little early, I will say, but probably at least a semester, maybe even semester, like 2 semesters before you want to go. From there, it's pretty simple. You'll submit a really easy application. It takes probably anywhere between 10 and 15 minutes, pretty much saying you want to go abroad, here's the program you want to go to. And then the Office of Study Exchange will contact the registrar's office, I believe, and one other office to make sure you're pretty much in good standing with the college. And you'll know if you're not in good standing with the college, pretty much if anything disciplinary has happened and like you're failing out, which most Skidmore students don't have that issue. So you're going to be approved pretty much either way. From there, you'll just apply to where you want to go. One thing I do want to say that I was a little surprised at was study abroad is rolling admissions, meaning whatever the start date is, November 1st, right? If they receive an application that day, they'll read it and then they'll accept you and then they'll just keep going, right? So it's better to apply early. Once you get through your application progress and everything, you're finally here. I've been here for 3 weeks now, give or take. I'm loving it. I'm here until mid-May. I'm with a host family. And I'm in Copenhagen, Denmark. I don't even know if I said that. I'm in Copenhagen. I'm taking 5 classes, all of which will transfer back to Skidmore. Skidmore is really, really good at making sure the classes transfer back. So you can take really whatever you want, and they'll try to make sure it'll transfer back to a relative major requirement or college requirement or anything like that. You also don't need to. You can just take classes for fun. For example, here there's classes in architecture. We don't have any architecture classes at Skidmore, so it may not apply to anything, but hey, why not? It's here, why not take it? I didn't do that personally though. Going abroad, I will say roughly 60 to 65% of students will in a given class year. So it's relatively common here at Skidmore and to go abroad, and your financial aid will carry with you. So Skidmore wants to make sure there's no barriers standing in the way. If you want to travel somewhere, Skidmore will give you all the support to make it happen. I really recommend it. It's amazing culturally. I think I've learned more about myself culturally, and just my passions since I've been here in the past 3 weeks, and I've learned academically at Skidmore in the past 2 years, which I've really appreciated.
All right. Anyone else on study abroad? I think it's just important to point out that even while you're abroad, all the resources that are available to Skidmore students are available here. So whether that's reaching out by email, if you're having a challenge, I know I'll work often with academic affairs to think about that. We've really increased our teletherapy options through Timely Care, so even students can carry that option with them and engage in that. So I think we do a really good job with students abroad of providing support. And for London students who are coming back from the first year, actually even before they go, we do an orientation program and also a program with them when they come back from London. So it seems to be a really vibrant but supported community as well. So thank you, Braden. All right, this is a great question. What was one of your best days at Skidmore? Or could you describe your perfect day? All right, this should be fun. One of your best days at Skidmore. All right, Kelby.
So this isn't necessarily like a specific day, but I think you'll kind of catch my drift. There's always that day as we're coming out of winter to spring where it's like 60 degrees and everybody is super happy and walking around in shorts and t-shirts and like playing frisbee on the quad. That day, whenever it comes every single spring, is probably one of my favorite days because everybody, the days are getting longer. We can start going outside again, and everybody's talking about it in class and everything. So that's kind of special day when it gets really warm at the end of the winter season, beginning of the spring is always a lot of fun. So that is definitely up there for my special Skidmore day.
Nice. Anna.
I think that when you asked that question, the first day that comes to my mind was a Friday freshman year. I've had an early class on Friday, so I was already done for the day. And one of my best friends and I decided to go into town, and it was in the fall, like November probably. And it started snowing, and this friend is from California and she'd never seen snow fall before. And just the joy and excitement of her seeing that snow was just one of my best days here. It was so easy to go into town. Even though it was snowing, we walked in and we walked back, and it was just a wonderful day.
Nice. Anyone else, your best or a perfect day? In the Dean of Students office, we've had a couple days where Serena has actually brought in some baked goods, and that had quickly turned into a perfect day for us. So thank you, Serena. All right, let's move to our next question then. So this is, of course, one of Skidmore's mantras, creative thought matters. So curious, someone is in the Zoom audience, what does creative thought matters actually mean? Who would like to take a shot at describing what creative thought matters means to you? Braden.
To me, it's a lot in a little in one phrase. I take it as doing what you love because you like it, right? For me, I'm getting a degree in biology because I love it. I am taking classes because I like it. And people may say, how do you like chemistry, statistics, and biology? And that's a whole nother question. But I love the classes I take. I love what I do. And I love everything I do at Skidmore. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. So that's what creative thought matter is to me. At other universities, I don't think they're as lucky. I have a friend that goes to a university and he gets handed a schedule every semester. I love the nervousness and the anxious feeling I get at 8 a.m. on a random day in the semester where I need to frantically click on my keyboard to make sure I get the classes I want. I mean, to me, that's like, I get what I want, right? And I have control over my education. I think that's like the best feeling ever.
Thank you, Anna.
I think that is absolutely true. And on a smaller scale in the classrooms, you really get to tailor even a specific class to what you want to do. I think that goes back into research being really important. I've had so many projects in my classes where the final project is a research paper rather than an exam. And that research paper goes off of the material from that class, but you get to be creative in your own time and figure out what you want that to be. And the presentation of that research is often however you want it to be, if that's a video or an essay. And I think that that really shows that creative thought, you continue once you've gotten those classes, hopefully you get the ones, you still get to tailor your education even further to what you want it to be.
Great.
As someone who, I guess in my intro talked about how much I really identify with creative thought matters, I probably should chime in here. Creative thought matters to me is really just being able to take your outside experiences and bring it to the classroom and vice versa. I think Skidmore really teaches you tangible, useful skills that you can then apply to different classes and to your life in general. I find the work that I do in the art studio always applies to the work I do in the scientific lab. And I see that happening again, science lab to art studio. I think it's a really amazing transition that Skidmore has been able to master. We're allowing students to use their knowledge and have such universal grasp of concepts and understanding of different facets of their different interdisciplinary degrees. I think it really helps to integrate a lot of the really interesting things that we do here at Skidmore. We're all looking to try to do something new, try to innovate a little bit, and I think Skidmore highly encourages that by again pushing the interdisciplinary view towards education really much forward.
All right, thank you guys. So before I go to our last question, I know we've been peppering our wonderful panelists here with all sorts of items. Take a moment and pause to see, is there anything else that has sort of come to mind that anyone would like to share or comment on that's come up even with a previous question, or as you've heard others talk, something that you just would want to make sure that you get a chance to comment on? If not, we'll move on to our last question. Yes, Braden.
There is typically a question about how is the food at Skidmore, which I was a little disappointed wasn't asked today because the food is fantastic. I think we're like 7th in the country from Princeton Review last fall. The chocolate chip cookies are to die for. If anyone's visited campus on this, the chocolate chip cookies are to die for. The food is great. The dining hall does a great job. The bakers do an amazing job. So I think that needs to be noted.
Thank you, Brady. I know we were so excited about the off-campus food, especially that mac with Anna, mac and cheese, that we forgot how highly rated our campus dining services actually is. Yeah, it's incredible. All right. So here is our last question. It's a good one, and it may require a little thought here. So I will read it slowly and give you all a chance to think about it. So fill in the blank. Skidmore is a perfect school for you if blank. Skidmore is a perfect school for you if blank. And we will actually go around and give everyone a chance to offer an answer if you have one. So it's the perfect school if Anna.
I would say Skidmore is the perfect school for you if you are seriously interested in multiple disciplines.
Nice. All right, Serena.
I would say Skidmore is a perfect school for you if you're just curious in general. There's so much to learn here, and there's so many different things that they offer. It's just the general curiosity is, I think, enough.
Awesome. Anyone else care to fill in that blank? Let's go Braden and then Angeli.
Yeah, I would say Skidmore is the perfect school for you if you want to grow intellectually and be challenged by your work.
All right. Let's go,
Mine was very similar to that. I was like, Skidmore is the perfect school for you if you like discussion and if you want to open up.
Nice. Kelby.
Yeah, I think Skidmore is the perfect school for you if you want to develop relationships that are going to last a lifetime.
Nice. Darren.
I think Skidmore is the perfect place for you if you like a lot of personal attention, especially like inside the classroom and even outside. Just like that relationship with professors and other people on campus, kind of to Kelby's point.
Yeah. All right. Anyone else? All right. So I just want to give our wonderful panelists here A round of applause, guys. Thank you so much for taking time on a Saturday to help our folks learn more about this amazing place that is Skidmore College. I am going to transition over to my wonderful colleague, VP for Admissions and Financial Aid, Mary Lou Bates, and the Director of Financial Aid, Beth Post, but want to wish you all best of luck as you continue to think through your college choice. Thank you.
Now we'd like to share some information about applying to Skidmore, applying for admission and applying for financial aid. I will begin with applying for admission, and then Beth Post, Skidmore's Director of Financial Aid, will talk about applying for financial aid. I'd like to address 3 areas of information. First, I'd like to talk about the admissions landscape in recent years at Skidmore. Then I'll discuss the different parts of the application that Skidmore and other selective colleges look at as we read and sort through thousands of qualified candidates. And finally, I'll share the different application programs and deadlines at Skidmore. In recent years, Skidmore has received between 10,000 and 13,000 applications for the first-year class. In last year's application cycle, that number was just over 13,000. We accepted about 25% of those applications to enroll a first-year class targeted at 700. The class target each year includes 35 students who choose to enroll in Skidmore's first-year London program. About half of the class applied, was accepted, and enrolled through early decision. International students comprise 9% of the class. Another 8% are dual citizens. 24% of the class self-identified as domestic students of color. As we evaluate the applicant pool each year, we look at a combination of objective and subjective criteria. We look at your high school transcript, your letters of support from your high school counselor and 2 teachers, your essay or personal statement, your activities outside of the classroom, whether they've taken place in your high school, your community, a part-time job you have held, responsibilities you've had at home. Your transcript is at the centerpiece of your application, and we focus on a number of different aspects of your transcript. Before we look at your grades, we look at the program of courses you have taken, starting with senior year, then junior, then sophomore, then freshman. We look at your grades in that same order, and we specifically look at the trend of your grades. 2 different students with identical GPAs in the same courses at a high school can look quite different because of the trend of their grades. And finally, we factor in the context, the competitiveness of the high school that you attend. Throughout this evaluation, we continually look for matches between a student's interests, achievement, and strengths, and the academic and co-curricular opportunities at Skidmore. In terms of standardized testing, Skidmore has for over 5 years been test optional, and it is totally a student's choice whether or not to submit SATs and/or the ACT. Skidmore accepts the common application or the coalition application, and there are 2 ways to apply to Skidmore: early decision or regular decision. We offer 2 rounds of early decision. Round 1 has an application deadline of November 15, and applicants are notified of their decisions for admission and financial aid about 1 month later by December 15. The Round 2 early decision deadline is January 15, which is the same deadline for regular decision, but early decision Round 2 candidates are notified of their decisions by February 15. Regular decision applicants will be notified of decisions in mid-March. Students considering Skidmore's first-year London program should let us know of their interest on the member page of the application. Students offered the opportunity to choose the London program at the time they are accepted always also have the option of enrolling on campus. And please note that students need to be 18 years old by late August in order to go to London. All of Skidmore's financial aid is allocated on the basis of demonstrated financial need, with the exception of 2 small merit programs that are discipline-specific. These are the Filene Music Scholarships and the Porter Wachenheim Merit Scholarships in Science, Math, Computer Science. Each of these scholarships are $20,000 a year in merit or non-need-based awards, or $80,000 over the 4 years. Students interested in being considered for the Filene and/or Porter Wachenheim scholarships should check the appropriate boxes on the Skidmore member page of the application. Filene applicants need to submit an audition performance, and Porter Wachenheim candidates need to write an additional science-specific essay. It's now my pleasure to introduce my colleague, Beth Post, Director of Financial Aid, who will tell you how to apply for financial aid at Skidmore.
Skidmore annually awards more than $65 million in Skidmore grants and scholarships. Just over 50% of our students qualify for grant assistance. The average Skidmore grant to the class of 2026 was $47,100. 99% of that grant assistance is based on the demonstrated financial need of the student and their family. So how do you get access to all those funds? You apply. Skidmore requires the College Board's CSS Profile financial aid application to be considered for our grant assistance. The FAFSA federal form is required to receive federal financial aid. Financial aid application deadlines mirror the admission application deadlines. November 15th for Round 1 early decision admission applicants, January 15th for Round 2 early decision, and also January 15th for regular decision admissions. There are special instructions for parents who are divorced or separated. When completing the forms, the parent with whom the student lived with most in the prior 12 months to completing the form is the parent whose information must be provided on both the CSS profile and the FAFSA. The other parent, whom I'll informally refer to as the non-custodial parent, that non-custodial parent's information is not reported on either the FAFSA or the CSS profile. However, if the parent whose data is on the FAFSA CSS profile is remarried, that parent's current spouse's information also must be reported on both the financial aid applications. At Skidmore, we will require the non-custodial parent to complete a separate CSS profile as well. These financial aid applications collect a lot of data from your family. Demographic information like name, social security number, household size, as well as income information from both the parent and the student, and asset information such as how much you currently have in cash, savings, and checking accounts. All of this information is put through a formula to calculate your EFC, or Estimated Family Contribution, or said another way, the estimated amount a family is expected to contribute toward their son or daughter's education in 1 year. The difference between this EFC and any college's cost of attendance, and cost of attendance is tuition plus fees, room and board, and estimated expenses for books and supplies. The difference between this EFC and a college's cost of attendance is your demonstrated financial need at that college. Therefore, the higher the cost of attendance, the higher your financial need will be. Skidmore has a policy that commits to meeting your financial need with financial aid as long as you complete the financial aid application by our deadline. We meet students' need with a reasonable loan amount, student employment, and then grant assistance. For example, if Skidmore's estimated costs are $80,000 and your family EFC is $25,000, then your need at Skidmore would be $55,000. We can even share with you what your financial aid would look like in that circumstance. We would meet your financial need with up to $3,500 in a federal student loan, $2,600 in work study, which is just a part-time job on campus, and then your remaining need, in this example $48,900, would be met with a combination of federal, state, and institutional grant, which is how it is that our average institutional grant exceeds $47,000. This is not an unusual situation. To get more detailed and precise estimates of financial aid eligibility based on your particular situation, please go to skidmore.edu/financial aid and use one of our calculators. We have 2 calculators on our webpage that will estimate your grant eligibility before you even apply for financial aid, so that you can get a sense of your financial aid eligibility early. We will send out financial aid award notifications with the admissions decisions. In early March, for regular decision admitted students, we asked for you to let us know by May 1st if you will be enrolling, which means you have much of March and April to contact the financial aid office with any questions you have about your eligibility or financial aid awards. As you visit other colleges, be sure to discover their policies and philosophies to help you understand the effect they have on your level of financial aid. For example, Skidmore commits to meeting your financial need each year, not just the first year, as long as you reapply for financial aid by our deadlines annually. At Skidmore, if you go on one of our over 100 approved semesters abroad, you can essentially take that financial aid with you. I mentioned the financial aid calculators on our webpage, but in fact, the federal government requires that all colleges have a calculator on their website, so you can compare affordability among colleges ahead of applying. Finally, while we realize that a selective residential college like Skidmore is not inexpensive, we have very supportive financial aid policies that allow students not just to enroll, but to persist and complete their educational experience over 4 years.
And now we'd like to answer your questions specifically about applying to Skidmore, applying for admissions and financial aid. I'm joined today by my colleague, Darren Drabeck, Associate Director of Admissions and Coordinator of International Student Recruitment and Admissions. And Darren is going to help field the questions. So we're ready to start as soon as the questions come in.
Great. Thank you, Mary Lou. It's great to be here. Greetings, everyone. And we do have a first question that just came in. And the question is asking, is there a difference between applying early decision round 1, early decision round 2, or regular decision?
Okay. There is no decision between early decision round 1 and round 2 other than timing. Some students know by November 15 for round 1 that Skidmore's their first choice, apply and receive their decision about a month later by December 15. The round 2 deadline is the same, as I noted earlier in my presentation, as the regular decision deadline, January 15. But ED2 students will hear by February 15. We are just now in the throes of ED committee for this year's applicants. And in terms of your chances for admission and all of that, financial aid, it's absolutely the same, ED1 and ED2. In terms of ED early decision and regular decision, in terms of financial aid, it's exactly the same. We're going to meet every student that we admit's full need. But I will say that the pools are a very different size, and accordingly, our acceptance rate on early decision students is higher than on the regular pool. This year, we have just over 12,000 applications. About 1,000 of those are early decision. And the other 11,000 are regular decision. The early decision pool are students who have said to us, out of all the colleges, Skidmore is my first choice. It's where I want to be. And we are in both pools choosing amongst mostly qualified candidates. But our acceptance rate on early decision is over 50%. And our acceptance rate last year on regular decision was just over 20%. So there are those differences. The important thing for early decision at Skidmore or at any school is to be applying to that school early decision because it is your first choice, not because there's an admissions advantage, because this is the school, if admitted, where you will be, and you need to be sure about that when you apply.
Great, thank you very much. Another question has come in, and this is asking about the application. Does Skidmore offer a waiver for the application fee?
Yes, we do. There's a place where you can check that. There are a number of different boxes that will help you know if you qualify, and we always honor those requests.
Great. Another question is asking if you will reflect on the qualities that you would say make a Skidmore applicant a strong candidate.
That's a really good and interesting question, and it's a timely one, since Darren and I and our colleagues right now we're pretty much not eating or sleeping. We're reading admissions applications for regular decision. I said a minute ago that most of the candidates in our pool and in the pools of other selective and highly selective colleges are qualified. There is a lot of pre-selection and working with your counselor. And it isn't as though, as we sort through applicants, it's clear those that should get in and those that shouldn't. There are thousands more applicants we would love to admit than we can admit. We're targeting a first-year class of about 700 between campus and London this year. And as I said, have over 12,000 applications. I think I mentioned in my presentation earlier in the program, we look for matches. We look for matches between candidates and their aspirations, their strengths, and the opportunities here at Skidmore. I think that plays a part. One of the things we look at is also, if the student has in any way engaged with us during the process. Something we call demonstrated interest. And it isn't like we quantify that, and a student who checked 4 boxes is ahead in line in terms of a student who just did 1. In some ways, it's almost demonstrated disinterest that we may react to for students who have submitted the application, but in spite of all the opportunities for virtually connecting or in any other way, all the ways you can see on our website haven't done any of those things. And that isn't to say that we never admit those students, but I think we find ourselves focusing often on the students who really have engaged with us and seem to have learned a lot about us, and probably have really been thoughtful about their choice. Certainly in terms of the application, and I talked about that earlier, focusing on what you've done, the trend of what you've done, how senior year is going, all those things. Selective colleges talk about it being a holistic review, and it absolutely is. It's a review within the individual context of so many things, your school, and all of that.
Right. This next question touches on financial aid and is asking if Skidmore will meet full demonstrated need for both domestic and international students.
We do. We meet the full demonstrated need of every student we admit. We commit to doing that each of your 4 years. You need to resubmit your financial aid paperwork. But if all things remain the same, you can count on the same level of support from Skidmore each of those 4 years. That said, we do have a finite amount of financial aid, and we are, as we get into the process, need sensitive. And what that means is that at some point, we may not be able to admit a student because we have allocated our financial aid. But for those students that we do admit,
I think it's fair to say we do a very good job of working to make it possible for them to be able to come to Skidmore. All of Skidmore's financial aid is need-based, allocated on the basis of demonstrated need, with the exception of two small merit programs. One is, they are both discipline specific. One is in music, one is in math science, computer science. There are faculty committees that choose the 4 Filene Music Scholars each year and the 14 to 16 Porter Wackenheim Scholars in math and science. But the rest of our financial aid is need-based. Every year we respond to appeals from students who have received a financial aid package, and it doesn't seem as though it is going to work. Again, our aid is going to be need-based, but we'll work with the family to see if there are some ways we can relook and respond to make it affordable.
Yeah. And Mary Lou, since you mentioned it, let me just follow up briefly. I think one thing that's very exciting about the Filene Music Scholarship at Skidmore is that it does not require students to major in music. It's fascinating to every year. It's exciting to award that scholarship to several students who are absolutely strong musicians, conservatory caliber musicians in many ways, and can come to Skidmore and graduate with a physics major, a biology major, maybe a double major in music and neuroscience, or another field of their choice. But that may be different too from some other institutions that might require a student to major in that discipline.
You're right, Darren. They'll need to be engaged with the department and all of that, but not necessarily as a major. And one thing I didn't mention is each of those merit awards for both the music and math science scholarships are $20,000 a year, each of the 4 years, in non-need-based or merit aid that often is added on to a need-based award.
Yeah. In the same category, a student is asking, and you kind of answered this briefly, but does financial need negatively impact your chance of being admitted?
No. Again, we're going there are students who apply for financial aid who don't end up qualifying for need-based aid, so that application. But as I said, at some point in the process, when we don't have the money to admit a student, we will not admit that student because we're committed to meet the full financial need. So I don't like to think of it as negatively impacting your application because we are accepting so many students and funding them. But the definition of need sensitivity is that if a college doesn't have the resources for you, then it won't admit you without that financial support.
And this question, next one is asking about SATs. How important are SAT scores when you are looking at applications?
Okay, Skidmore is need optional, SAT optional. We were, before the COVID epidemic, really forced colleges that had always required scores, and I think probably thought they always would require scores, to become SAT test optional, because students couldn't get the test during COVID. And as you know, most of those schools are still test optional. Skidmore had made that decision before that, having very carefully studied our history of applicants who came to Skidmore and how they did at Skidmore, and to evaluate what impact, if any, what predictive value, if any, standardized testing had. And what we concluded at the end of this almost year-long study, the committee that looked at that, was that there was very little added predictive value of standardized testing beyond what we are already predicting from your transcript, from your courses, your grades, the trend of your grades, all of that. And so at that time, we made the decision to be test optional for most applicants, and then we are now test optional for all applicants. That said, students are invited to submit testing if they would like to. I think what this does for students now is to say, well, should I? I have tests. Your test optional. Should I submit them? And I realize that's a difficult question. We talk with college counselors who are equally perplexed about what colleges want to do. Our feeling is if you feel that your tests do support your transcript and all of that, you feel good about them, submit them. No student is penalized for not submitting them. And that really is what test optional should mean and does mean here at Skidmore.
Great. This next question is asking, do either of you or either of us have any advice for a college applicant?
Oh, wow. Lots of advice for college applicants. I guess my advice, my big piece of advice is to keep an open mind. Keep an open mind as you look at schools. You may have heard things about a school. You may have a sense of a school, but try and put that aside as you evaluate the school. There are so many wonderful schools out there. So have an open mind about what the best match for you will be. It's interesting that sometimes students who go off to a college that they fell in love with and applied early decision and perhaps aren't as thrilled as they had hoped they'd be when they get there, wherever it is, versus another student who chose a college who wasn't necessarily his or her first choice at the beginning and got there and were amazed at how wonderful it was. So again, the open mind, keep your expectations open. That's my one piece of advice. Darren, what would you add to that?
I would, and I would say take advantage of getting to know us or the colleges that you become interested in. Take advantage of the opportunities, namely something perhaps like interviews if they're offered by an institution, if they're conversations, admission chats or conversations that you can have, and those can be done at any point or at many points in the college search process. Our example, personally at Skidmore, we open up the opportunity to have interviews or conversations as early as May 1st of your grade 11 or your junior year or before you apply. And it's okay to have that conversation early on. There are other institutions who might not allow you to have an interview until you've applied. But whatever that timeline is, take advantage of those opportunities as they present themselves. With virtual opportunities now, there's no geographic barrier often to have these one-on-one conversations that might be informative to you, as well as help us get to know you a little bit better.
Great advice.
Here's another question that is coming from a high school junior. Says, I'm a high school junior. What steps could I take this spring or summer to show interest before applying in the fall? Right off of, I guess, heels of my advice. That's certainly one opportunity a junior could take advantage of after May 1st would be to schedule a conversation, an admissions interview. But what are the things, Mary Lou, can a student begin doing spring or summer?
And I think showing interest should be exploring the college and learning about the college. The showing interest is secondary to your exploration. So yes, one of the, I think, upsides, if you will, if you can think there was an upside to COVID, is that colleges have so broadened the ways students can get information. I mean, this virtual programming that we're all doing now, we should have been doing it before COVID, but again, everybody didn't have Zoom back then, and it wasn't the communication medium wasn't universal the way it is now. But there are things you can start exploring now. Look on our websites, all of us, the kinds of programming that we have. It's really interesting that we're really in the overlap season now. The seniors are still fully engaged. We know we have lots of seniors with us today who have already submitted their applications, as well as many of you juniors who are just at the front end of your cycle. And it is interesting when you all visit our campus in the February and March and April, what different places you are in, because it truly is a year-long process. It's an iterative process to figure this whole thing out. April is the month we really see that. We have the admitted students who are back on campus, maybe for the first time, often for a second, even a third visit, and they have very kinds of specific questions at the same time as we're seeing hundreds of juniors every week who are at the front end, and they're just in different places understandably. But as I said, there are lots, and as Darren said, lots of resources out there to just explore on the website, sign up, and if you have the opportunity to do some college visits, you can start planning those. Colleges will be ready for you to host you for group infos and all of that, even while we're finishing up with the senior class.
Good. And speaking of senior class, this question is coming from an applicant, an RD applicant, asking, if I'm accepted, why should I pick Skidmore over other schools?
I guess as a bottom line, if it turns out to be the best match in your estimation, I think, the panel that we all just heard, I think gave you some wonderful information to answer that question. If the kinds of things that the students who were on the panel were telling you about Skidmore. In fact, one of the questions was, Skidmore is perfect for a student who, blank, if those kinds of things. But again, I think the match, as you look at all colleges, if you can keep that first and foremost in your mind, not so much will I get in here, but rather, do I belong here? Can I see myself here in all those different ways?
Great. Yes, and I agree. If you've watched the program for this last hour, many reasons why you may want to pick Skidmore. This is our last question we have time for, and again, any submitted questions that we didn't get to ask live will be answered by members of our staff and a team, which we're happy to stay engaged with you. But this last question is asking, I'm nervous my academics may not be strong enough, but I love Skidmore. Should I still apply?
I think that probably yes, I would say. As I said, most of the students who apply to us are qualified. That means they have the foundation to be successful at Skidmore. Some have stronger transcripts than others. We don't just pick the strongest transcripts. It'd be a very different admissions process and not a holistic one as we do now. It is halfway through your junior year. You still have opportunity ahead of you. You've got the rest of this year to really put yourself in high gear and commit to doing your very best work, and then your senior year. When we look at a transcript, we start with senior year first, then junior, then sophomore, then freshman. And when we look at not only just your grades, but your program. And so you've still got a lot ahead of you, a lot of opportunity. The kinds of things Darren talked about, an interview, doing an interview, getting a sense maybe in more specific ways, talking to one of us in the interview about whether you're in the ballpark, depending on your particular program.
Great. Well, thank you, Mary Lou. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. But up next, one of the last parts of this program is a virtual tour of campus led by our Thoroughbred Ambassador, Kelby Wittenberg, whom you met on the panel. It only lasts about 8 minutes, so look forward to you seeing a little bit of campus through our eyes, and hopefully you will enjoy that. And thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Mary Lou.
Yes, thanks for joining us, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Skidmore College. My name is Kelby Wittenberg, and I will be your guide for today's tour. We're standing right now in Case Green, the center of academic, social, and residential space here at Skidmore College. This green is surrounded by the Student Center, the library, several residence halls, and behind me, the dining hall. The Green is a great place to relax outdoors with friends and also hosts some iconic Skidmore events every single year, such as our very popular Fall Club Fair. The Murray Aikens Dining Hall is one of Skidmore's most beloved and iconic buildings, and for very good reason. Inside, you can find food from all over the world for every dietary preference and restriction. Behind me is the Billy Tisch Center for Integrated Sciences, or CIS for short. The CIS represents the single largest building initiative in the college's history and creates a hub that connects academic departments from across campus. CIS is where you'll find computer science, environmental studies and sciences, math, chemistry, biology, and Skidmore's other science programs. But what makes it unique is how many different students study and work here. You'll find French majors using the 3D printer in our Makerspace and Idea Lab, health sciences majors in the greenhouse, and anyone who wants to understand our world better reserving time in our microscopy lab, a collection of microscopes that rivals what you'll find at top research institutions. Powell Mountain Hall is home to a number of academic departments, including business, English, education, and world languages. The majority of Skidmore's classes are held here and in neighboring buildings like the Tisch Learning Center and Ladd and Bolton Hall. The average class size is 16 students, and that small size, along with our 8-to-1 faculty ratio, are hallmarks of the Skidmore experience. In fact, many alumni share that our small community and close relationships with professors were the best parts of their time here. The Arthur Zankel Music Center is Skidmore's hub of musical activity. This building is home to our music department and features a variety of spaces for teaching, practice, and performance. Zankel is both a public concert venue and an educational space open to everyone, whether you plan to study music, want to take lessons, or enjoy singing or playing as a hobby. The center is also home to the Helen Feinlein Ladd Concert Hall, an acoustically tuned, award-winning, 600-seat performance venue. Here you can take part in a variety of campus and community events, catch student concerts like our brass, string, and jazz ensembles, or have a great seat for performances by Grammy-winning artists. The Janet Kinghorn Bernard Theater, JKB to us, is home to our theater department. The department puts on multiple shows each semester that are fully student-produced and often feature a mix of majors and non-majors as actors, technicians, designers, and more. The Sasslin Arts Center is home to a wide range of studio art classes, from printmaking and fiber arts to drawing and sculpture, among many others. The Schick Art Gallery is also located here and highlights work from students, faculty, and other artists. The Case Student Center is often described as the heart of campus, as it's visited by students and professors alike. It's a great place to meet up with friends, grab a coffee at Burgess Cafe, or grab a quick bite to eat at the spa. If you're looking to gear up with the latest Skidmore apparel and swag, you can head to the Skidmore shop on the first floor of Case, which also doubles as our campus's bookstore. Case Center is also home to our student government and several other important offices, including the Office of Campus Life and Engagement and our Student Wellness Center. In the fall of 2021, Skidmore opened Wyckoff Center, an expansive working and event space meant to foster conversations around diversity, equity, inclusion, and social justice. Welcome to the Lucy Scribner Library, where many students, including myself, come to work, do research, or just enjoy themselves. The library is 4 stories tall, with the 3rd floor notably being the quiet floor for those who wish to work in a distraction-free environment.
There are many great places to work here, like by the large bay windows or in the quiet study rooms upstairs. Throughout the library, you can find PC and Mac workstations, along with free printing on the first floor. The Williamson Sports Center complex is home to Skidmore Athletics, the Department of Dance, and campus fitness facilities including weight rooms, pool, racquetball courts, aerobics and fitness areas, locker rooms, and gyms. Skidmore is an NCAA Division III school and a founding member of the Liberty League. The college supports 19 varsity sports plus a number of club and intramural programs. Adjacent to the sports center are dedicated turf fields for softball and field hockey, 9 tennis courts, an all-weather track, and a lighted turf field for soccer and lacrosse in front of stadium seating for 1,400 spectators. If you're a sports fan, you can't miss the Big Green Scream, an annual tradition held each winter where our men's and women's basketball teams have back-to-back home games, and tons of Skidmore students and faculty come out to support them, decked out in green and yellow. Residential life at Skidmore is a tight-knit community that truly feels like you're home away from home. More than 90% of students choose to live here on campus because being here is so central to the Skidmore experience. As a first-year student, you will either live in a triple or double room in one of our residence halls, and all of the rooms are suite style, meaning you share a bathroom with only 4 to 8 other students. Once you reach junior or senior year, you can apply to live in our highly sought-after on-campus apartments. No matter where you live, you're never far from the heart of campus or the other important aspects of student life at Skidmore, including our on-campus counseling center, health services, wellness center, and more. With its prominent location and distinctive architecture, the Tang Teaching Museum and Art Gallery is one of the most recognizable buildings on campus. As a public contemporary art museum, the Tang gets about 40,000 visitors a year and features several rotating art exhibits at one time. Everything here is about interdisciplinary learning and finding ways to use the arts as a medium for engaging in conversations about climate change, equity, social justice, and the overall richness of the human experience. It also is a common place for internships, research, and events like the annual Tang Party and regular student-led tours. And that's a wrap. It's truly impossible to recap all there is to see and do at Skidmore, but I hope I was able to give you a preview of what it's like to live and study here. Personally, I love that I've been able to find communities as both a student and an athlete, but I'm confident you could find your place here too.